folks, and welcome to today's show. Our guest is Dr. Anthony Kinkle, who is president of Motlow as of the 1st of July this year, replacing Dr. Mary Lou Apple, who we're all familiar with, and she had earned well-earned retirement, and which she decided to take. So, and I tried to get Dr. Kinkle on a little bit earlier, and was told at the time, give us a couple of months, if you will. We're about to be covered up in Tennessee Promise, and so we want to talk some more about that. So, welcome, and thanks for taking time to join us. And before we get into Motlow and Tennessee Promise, tell the folks a little bit about Tony Kinkle.
Well, I'm so honored to be here. Thank you for being so patient. We had 1,427 Tennessee Promise students show up, and I got here August 1st, and so we've spent the last 3 months trying to figure out how to educate those students. But I'm so delighted to be in Tennessee. I was born and raised in a little town in northern Minnesota, about 90 miles from the Canadian border, and I was very blessed. The first memory of life I've ever had is I had two parents who loved me, and I've always thought that that's given me a huge advantage in today's world.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad were at every basketball game I played, every band event, and so I grew up in a wonderful home, wonderful education system in Minnesota. My parents owned
Where did you go to school?
University of Minnesota.
University,
Yep, got
okay.
my undergraduate at the Duluth campus and then my doctorate degree at the Minneapolis campus.
Okay.
And my parents owned, my dad was a paramedic during the day, and then we had a laundromat, commercial laundromat, and we lived in the resort country, so we were up where everybody had cabins on the lake. And so my job in the summer was to go around to all the resorts and pick up the dirty linens, and we'd bring them in, wash them, press them, and then
run them through the washer.
Run them through, yeah. So my dad was mayor of the little town, so I was very active politically at an early age. Yeah. And the other big blessing I've had in my life is that I knew probably at age 16, 17 what I wanted to do in my life, and I wanted to give back to people to help them have the opportunities I had. And so I started out as a teacher and a basketball coach. I was a high school social studies teacher and coached basketball, had a heck of a basketball team in Sandstone, Minnesota, and then went back home and ran for office, and at age 24 got elected to the House of Representatives. I was very blessed to serve there for almost 16 years.
Yeah, 12, 16.
And then went to the Senate. But while I was in the legislature, I kept working on my degree and ended up with my doctorate degree. And so when I wasn't in the legislature, I started then teaching at a community college and really fell in love with it and thought, my purpose in life was to help folks achieve the American dream. I did it first in politics, and then I decided, I could probably do more in higher ed. And so that's when I went back to get my doctorate and became a dean of a technical college up in Minnesota, and then went on to serve at 4 institutions, 4 different states. So had quite a life to get here to Tennessee. But
you did. You've been very busy. Yes.
Very blessed.
What attracted you to Tennessee and Motlow?
The governor called. I hadn't even been on the payroll yet. The governor called me in July, Governor Haslam, his office, and said, we want to see Tony up here. And I called the chancellor. I said, what do I do, Chancellor? I'm not even on the payroll yet. He said, well, get up there and meet with the governor if he's calling you. So he said, Tony said, what made you want to come to Tennessee? And I said, Governor, 2 words, Tennessee Promise. I said, I've been around the country. I've been in public service for most of my life. I said, 49 other states in the United States of America are raising the cost of higher education, but there's only one state that's actually lowering it. And I said, and I want to be a part of that movement. I've been looking for that all my life. We tried to do it in Minnesota, did a pretty good job, but we didn't have the Tennessee Promise. And
we'll find out a little more about that. Very good. Let's take a short commercial break, folks, and we'll get into Tennessee Promise and Motlow.
All I have to do to think about what I was physically before and what I am now, and I don't ever want to go back to that original situation.
The overall mission of the rehab team is always what is best for the patient and how we can facilitate maximum potential from every resident.
Well, the most important thing to me is that I'm allowed to do whatever I want to do,
Everyday Miracles, Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
What's a Tennessee vacation? It starts off like any road trip, and then, boom, adventure and thrills everywhere you look, which happens to be some of the most beautiful scenery in the country. Music here, history there, and all kinds of green in between. Come relax and unwind, or bring the crowd for some stargazing, or stargazing. Whatever you do, come hungry and expect an awesome soundtrack. It's all right here in Tennessee. We're playing your song. For a free vacation guide, visit tnvacation.com.
We're talking today, folks, with Dr. Anthony Kinkle, who is the newly arrived as of July president of Motlow College. And he's had a pretty busy 3 or 4 months up to this point. So let's talk a little about Motlow in general before we get into Tennessee Promise. And so how have you found things? And you've got 4 campuses to try to get acquainted with, and that's got to provide its own challenge.
I love it. I mean, Motlow, President Apple and President Walker and President Glass, before them, all did a great job. I find it interesting that, and I met President Ingram at a meeting the other day, that there are 4 former presidents in the area. They stayed in the area, and you don't find that a lot in this. And now that's the good news. The bad news is I got 4 former presidents looking over my shoulder. I better take good care of this college that they helped build. It's a great school. 77% of our students work. I think people either full or part-time. 91% of our students have a smartphone. And so that's the changing nature of the student that we serve. They're in the mobile world, the digital world. Our students' money is still tight. When we surveyed our students this year, said, what would ever cause you to leave Motlow? 77% of our students said lack of money.
Yeah.
Almost 50% of our students, we asked them, why did you choose Motlow? And they said, because it's close to home and I can live at home. About 50%. The other 25% said it's very affordable. So, we've got a great school, fastest growing college in the entire state of Tennessee, either 2 or 4 year. And not quite growing as much here in Tullahoma at this campus. The real growth is up in Rutherford County and our Smyrna campus, and that'll continue. Yeah. They're going to add 50,000 more people in Rutherford County over the next 5 years. And so they're going to want a place to go to school. So we've got to build a new building up there. That's a big, high priority of ours. Yeah,
that's one thing I was wondering. You've been, if you got approval, you've been lobbying, and I'm sure before you talked to Apple, for a third building at the Smyrna campus.
Yeah.
Are you getting any encouragement or money on that?
Well, the original building that they designed, $9.7 million, 17,000 square foot building, frankly, is way too small. And when they designed that, they didn't know the promise was coming.
Sure.
And so we now have to go back to the drawing board and redesign that building. It's probably going to be double that size. And so there's a little bit of a process we have to go through with the Tennessee Board of Regents to redesign that building.
And the legislature.
And the legislature. And so, but we're getting pretty strong support. I think people realize that Metro, think about it. You've got Rutherford County is in the top 10 counties in the United States of America in manufacturing. Tennessee now has eclipsed Detroit as the #1 auto producing state in the country. Yeah. So I think there's a realization at the governor and the legislature that that we have to realign our building priorities given where our industrial base is and the growth is. And so we hope that'll bode well for us when we try to get that 3rd building at Smyrna. But no, it's a great school, Tom. It's a great college. The quality of education is high. We're the #1 producer of transfer students to Middle Tennessee State University, and I've had a good meeting with President McPhee. We're going to try to work together all we can, and we've got great high schools. I mean, I was also attracted to, my son is a 9th grader at Tullahoma High, and great public schools in the area, and they're getting better. Now I know, yesterday a report came out that we've got some challenges in reading, and I will say that that's showing up at our college. But it's almost a tale of two cities. For students who have parents who understand the value of education, those students are smarter than ever. And Tullahoma High and Lincoln County and Coffee County are providing an exceptional education for those. It's a paradox though, where we're lagging behind is those students are coming from homes where education has not been a priority.
Right.
And we're all trying to figure out how to do a better job with those students. And those are the students that aren't reading well. And I have a theory. I don't have any empirical evidence, although I bet I can find it, that we've got a younger generation of parents that candidly let their kids play a few too many video games, and they're not playing with neighborhood kids, and they're not reading books.
Yeah.
And
every time you see them, they're playing with their device.
In that device.
Yeah.
Now you can use devices to read from. You can download books there, but my worry is that they're not doing that. They're playing these videos. And my own son, and I'm guilty of it too. I'm constantly on him. Get off that stupid video game, and start reading. And so, but if I wasn't on him, you can get addicted to that stuff. And I think that's a challenge for us. Is how do we channel those devices into productive learning opportunities?
Getting back into that family situation at an early age that is indeed a major challenge. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how we could do that. But you're saying the aptitude of reading is kind of coming down when they come to you, and so you've got an extra problem to deal with there before you can. And I don't know why we have trouble understanding that to get an education, you've got to be able to read.
Yeah, even those students who are going into the STEM, the science, technology, engineering, and math, you still got to read word problems.
Sure.
You got to be able to understand. I tell students, I go into our English classes all the time and say, there's a reason why we require you to take a writing class, because when I go to hire, I'm going to get 100 applicants for every job at Motlow State. And the first thing I'm going to see is how well you write on your cover letter and resume. You don't write well there, we throw your resume away. And they're just shocked to find that out. I said, why? They said, well, Dr. Kinkle, why do you do that? You don't know what's inside of me. How come you throw my resume out, my cover letter, because you can't write well? I said, because I don't want to hire careless people. Why would I hire a careless person when I got 10 others that are really good at it? That we're only going to hire the best. And I think young people, there's another theory too, is that and I see it too with helicopter parents, that's what we call. You can't believe, Tom, you can't believe the parents that call me. Now, and it's on their adult kid. And it's wonderful that they're interested in everything, but in some ways, we've raised a generation of students that have always gotten a medal for something. They've always got rewarded for something, and when they hit tough times, they don't know how to deal with it. So mom and dad have to come in. I had 3 parents call me yesterday over issues. I said, how come your kid isn't calling me? They're an adult. We're trying to teach them how to be an adult. You're not going to be able to call their boss when they get hired. We've got to teach young people the skills of overcoming adversity. They're not learning that. And so I talk to our students a lot about failure. There really is no such thing as a failure. This is what my parents taught me. All failure is a learning opportunity. So you didn't scale this mountain, but guess what? When you go to scale the next one, look at all that you've learned. It's okay to fail a little bit. I tell the students, I had 1 D in my entire college career, only had 1. I got it in accounting. Got a D. I had trouble understanding that accounting language. Yeah. And now I'm running a $30 million business because I didn't let that D define me. I learned from it, I tried to get better at it, and went on. And we've got a lot of young people at our college right now Minute they get a bad grade, oh, I knew college wasn't for me. You know, my boyfriend's telling me I'm too dumb anyway, I shouldn't be here. My parents never had a degree, and they said, how come you now didn't go to work? What are you wasting time for at Motlow State? And they get a bad grade. Maybe they're right. So we're working with those students to say, don't listen to that. We're all going to get bad grades occasionally.
We're not teaching them to be independent. Huh?
That's
To
right,
overcome
exactly right.
adversity. Yeah.
Learn from it and get better.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, let's talk. Well, after we take a commercial break, we'll come back and we'll talk some about Tennessee Promise.
It's time for every family and business in Tullahoma to go green and recycle. Tullahoma Public Works makes it simple and easy to recycle. Just place your recyclable materials, paper, plastic, aluminum, and cardboard beside your garbage container on the same day your garbage is picked up. Your recycled materials don't have to be in a fancy container. Recycling is not only the right thing to do, it makes sense. Recycling pays. Paying to bury our garbage costs each of us. Please do your part. Let's go green, Tullahoma, and recycle.
You made the time and the sacrifice to broaden their horizons, to see their smiles, but mostly to make lifelong memories. We think it's time to do it again, just the two of you. Don't let illness or injury slow you down. The rehab team at Life Care Center of Tullahoma is ready to help you live well.
I'm meteorologist Leland Statham from the News Channel 5 Weather Center. Look to Jim Fuller and crew for local news night here on Channel 6.
We're back, folks, and we're talking today with Dr. Anthony Kinkle, the president of Motlow College. And we've been hearing of some of his challenges and experiences in the first few months. And one of those that we want to spend a little more time on is Tennessee Promise. And so if you would just take a minute and refresh everybody on what Tennessee Promise is.
Tennessee Promise is an initiative by Governor Haslam. It actually, I'm told, was started by some Governor Bredesen and Ned McWhirter, I think was his name. I wasn't here then, but they had some initial ideas, and Haslam has taken it, I think, to a national level. What it says is if you graduate from a home school or a parochial school or a public school, you can go to a community college free. Your tuition and fees will be paid for if you do a couple of things. Number one, you've got to do 8 hours of community service every semester. And I love that about this program. And we're teaching young people it's more than just for you. Education is more than just to make you better, it's to make our community better. You have to give back to your community 8 hours. And by the way, it's very strict. If they don't do it, they're out. No questions asked. You don't get a second chance. Second thing you have to do is get a community mentor. Someone in the community that can be your mentor to teach you how to be successful. And a lot of our young people aren't learning that at home. And so these community mentors work with our students every semester to teach them how to handle failure, as I already mentioned, how to handle the things in life that are going to come up. Stay focused on your education, so they have to have a mentor. Third thing is grades. Absolutely no questions asked. You got to maintain a C average, period, or you're out. You don't do those three things, then you cannot continue to qualify for the Tennessee Promise. And so, very strict. And now, we're in need of mentors, Tom.
I was going to say, how's the mentor situation looking? And that's where all the rest of us come into play.
Absolutely. I hope people listening to this program today, it takes 2.5 minutes. I just did it. My wife and I signed up. You can sign up online. It takes less than 2.5 minutes to sign up. It's a commitment. You work with 5 students in your home county. And when you go sign up, you identify the county and the school that you want to work for. I signed up, of course, for Tullahoma. And you meet with those students a minimum of once a semester. You have to go to a 2-hour training session is all, and then you're certified to be a mentor. And it's really about, now, a lot of mentors are interacting with their students every week, some every month. It's just up to you. But you'll find that it's one of the most rewarding things you'll ever do is help that young person stay in college. If they drop out, they can never get the promised land. And I tell families, that's about a $15,000 gift you're being handed by the taxpayers of the great state of Tennessee. No other state in the country is doing this. And you can't screw it up. I mean, this is serious.
Yeah.
You know, the average student right now is graduating in the United States of America about $25,000 in debt. Those students going on to get a bachelor's degree. Tennessee Promise wipes out half that debt right there. And so these mentors are really important for our students. We've got a shortage, Tom. Because of the growth of the program, we're going to need to find statewide about another 3,000 mentors. And we're even short here in the 6 counties that this television station serves. We still need about 10% more mentors. So the deadline to sign up to be a mentor you've got to do it by November 1st. So it's coming up very quickly.
That's the deadline?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure
So
is.
it's coming up very, very quickly.
All right. And you need more, huh?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, tell us a little bit about how you have managed, what it's taken for you to cope with the Tennessee Promise excess of students.
Well, I tell everyone I see, I'd rather have the problem of too many cars from a parking lot than too many open spaces. Too few. So, you know, we've hired 40-some more adjunct faculty. We're looking at probably 5 or 6 new full-time faculty for next fall because we now find out the onslaught that we've got to accommodate. We're teaching differently. We have what's called a first-year experience where students that are coming in with low reading scores, back to that reading, we have a special class for them that they have to take called the first-year experience. Working with those students, we know they're going to have challenges because they can't read well. And we're finding now, Tom, that we have to teach students how to be a good student. You know, sit in front of the class, get to know your professor on a personal note outside in the hallway. Find a study partner that you can buddy up with to study together to encourage you, because there's going to be times you're going to want to quit. It's tough. Motlow State will never lower the standards for anybody. We tell parents and students, don't come here if you don't want to work for it. And I say, you know, if it were easy, anybody could get a college degree and they'd pay us all minimum wage. So you want it to be tough. We're not going to lower the standards, but we're going to do everything we can to show you how to be successful. We have to show students how to take notes properly. We have to show them how to read for comprehension. You can't just read and skim and say, oh, I studied. You've got to learn how to read to comprehend what you're reading. So we have to get better, Tom, at what we do. You know, and we will. We're moving into the digital world. You know, this thing right here, 91% of my students carry this around everywhere. And so we're finding ways to utilize this to teach better.
You need to.
Anywhere
you see the kids, you know, they're likely to just be on their device. So.
Absolutely. And so we can utilize that. We can text message them to remind them to prepare for their final. We can, we can use YouTube and Facebook in educational ways to reach these students, and we just have to get better at that. And then textbooks. Frankly, this generation of students, you know, an average textbook like that for anatomy and physiology is $360 for one textbook. Now these students aren't going to pay for that anymore. In my opinion, and I probably shouldn't say this on the air, but I think it's almost criminal what these publishing companies are charging for textbooks. These students aren't, so we're going into digitized textbooks, which will be 60% cheaper than paying $360 for that thing.
Yeah, and Tullahoma High School has been moving in that direction for some time, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, do you think, and I think maybe you've partially answered that with your reading comments, but are we, well, guess what, folks? We're running out of time. And there's a number of other things that we'd like to do, but let's take a short commercial break and we'll have to wrap up.
The Kia Summers on Us sales event is going on right now at Russell Barnett Kia of Tullahoma. Let me tell you about this event. Purchase a new Kia Sedona, Kia Optima, Kia Forte, and receive 0% financing up to 66 months and your first 3 payments for free. For a limited time only, no strings attached. With America's best warranty, the 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, Kia is the power to surprise. The Kia Summers on Us sales event going on right now. Why buy anywhere else?
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
We've been talking today, folks, with Dr. Anthony Kinkle, who is the new president of Motlow College, and the challenges that he's run into in general and with Tennessee Promise to begin in addition. So, Dr. Kinkle, is there a little message that you'd like to deliver direct to the folks out there?
Well, Tom, thank you very much. I'm honored to be here. Yeah, in 1970, interesting statistic I want you to think about. 1970, the richest kids, the kids coming from the homes in the top 25%, about 35% of those kids got a college degree. The kids at the bottom 25% of the income level, only about 6% got a degree. Fast forward to 2015, the wealthy kids, 77% of all kids in the top 25% are now getting a college degree. What's happened to the bottom 25%? They've gone from 6% to 9%. And therein lies the biggest challenge in America today. We're doing really well with the educated kids coming from good homes. But kids coming from those low-income homes, we've got a lot of work to do. And Motlow State is here to help. In the Tennessee Promise, there is no excuse anymore to say, I cannot afford to go to college. The Tennessee Promise and Motlow State Community College are here to help you on any income levels, and that's my goal, is to help all people participate in the American dream. That's what Motlow stands for. So, honored to be here.
Well, thanks for taking time to join us, and I wish we had a little more, but at any rate, we'll try again one of these days, and again, we appreciate your time and contribution and the message to the folks out there. And thank you, folks, for joining us and inviting us into your parlor, and we will see you next time.